I'll never forget the sound my old F-150 made that morning. You know, one of those moments that gets burned into your memory whether you like it or not. Like the universe is trying to tell you, hey, today's not going to be boring. It started with this weird hiss, then a gut punch jolt that sent my coffee flying across the dashboard and all over my jeans. I just sat there parked sideways on the gravel, still gripping the steering wheel, thinking, what now? I climb out, still cussing under my breath, and my boots crunch down on something sharp. Then I see it. Not a nail, not some stray bit of ranch wire, but 4 tires, shredded to pieces, rubber hanging like streamers at a kid's birthday. There's these spike strips, real heavy-duty police-grade spike strips, half buried in the gravel, shining in the morning sun like they're proud of themselves. And standing maybe 20 feet off, arms folded, was Margaret Sinclair, though most folks just called her Karen and not affectionately. She's standing there with that smug, painted-on smile like she just solved a world crisis, and she says, "Maybe next time you'll think twice about letting those trucks of yours barrel through our peaceful community." That's how it all started, or how it blew up anyway. See, I've owned Willow Creek Farm for 15 years before the Cedar Grove folks ever put their first for sale sign in the ground. It was all rolling hills and wildflowers back then, my 40 acres just sitting outside what used to be honest-to-God countryside. Then 5 years ago, the developers show up promising luxury, this exclusive, that, and all the amenities your HOA dues could buy. What we got was 300 identical houses and a board of volunteers who let their titles go straight to their heads, Margaret being the queen bee, of course. But the real issue, the reason I'm standing there with flat tires and coffee stains, is my farm road. A quarter-mile of honest gravel running from my barn to the main highway cutting right along the edge of their fancy new neighborhood. The road's been there since Eisenhower was president, private property signs posted every 100 feet, deeded and surveyed, taxes paid. You'd think that'd settle things. But Margaret doesn't believe in boundaries, literal or otherwise. She'd just gotten herself elected HOA president, and suddenly my road was the blight she needed to fix. It started with these polite but not really letters. Official HOA letterhead, 3 pages. All complaints about dust intrusion and unauthorized commercial vehicles. She went on about delivery trucks disturbing her residents at all hours, as if the hay and feed that keep my farm running are some kind of criminal conspiracy. Never mind, I'd been here way before she'd ever heard of Cedar Grove. Margaret's mission was clear. Then she starts with the threats. Claimed my road was some shared easement, and she had the right to dictate its use. Wanted me to pave it, put in speed bumps, and get this, submit a daily vehicle schedule to the HOA for approval. I responded with my paperwork highlighted and notarized, and she hits back by calling the county on me. Noise complaints, zoning violations, all thrown out. Next came the harassment, my delivery guys getting stopped on my road by Margaret in her SUV demanding to see permits, threatening to call the sheriff. My nephew Jake, who helps me on weekends, says she followed him all the way to the gate, honking and flashing her lights because his truck was too dusty. Even my 70-year-old mother got an earful one Sunday, Margaret out there waving HOA bylaws around like she was the law herself. I tried to handle it the neighborly way. Showed up at one of their HOA meetings, me in my boots, surrounded by folks in golf polos and yoga pants, brought my deed maps, all of it. Margaret stands up at the podium, looking like she's about to auction off the farm, and says, "Mr. Thompson, traditions and old documents don't override the needs of 300 homeowners." I'm biting my tongue at this point, but I say, "It's my road, lady. I pay for it. I plow it. I decide who uses it." She just grins and says, "We'll see about that." And the whole room, well, some nod along, others just stare at their shoes. Later, a few folks actually come up quietly apologizing, but no one wants to challenge her out loud. Margaret had a reputation for making life miserable if you crossed her. From there, things just spun out. She put up security cameras pointing right at my road, claimed it was to document violations. Then came floodlights blasting onto my property all night. She even tried to get the post office to stop delivering my mail, arguing that postal trucks violated HOA traffic rules. That one backfired when the postmaster threatened to cut off delivery for the whole subdivision if she didn't back off. But the more her schemes failed, the harder Margaret pushed. She started a petition to have my road condemned as a public nuisance, hired a lawyer to dig through dusty old easement laws, even called my insurance company trying to get my policy pulled. I spent more time fighting off her nonsense than actually working the farm, and honestly, it was wearing me down. Then came that Tuesday morning in October, the one with the spike strips. I was up before sunrise expecting a hay delivery at 6:30. Took the road like I'd done 1,000 times, except this time I hit those spikes at 15 miles an hour. If I'd been going faster, I might have ended up in the ditch, standing there looking at my shredded tires with Margaret watching like she just won the lottery. Something in me just snapped. But I didn't yell. I just pulled out my phone and started recording. I said, "Margaret, did you put these spike strips on my road?" She goes, "I don't know what you're talking about." I point at the evidence. Ask again. She tries. The HOA has the right to implement traffic calming measures. I say, on private property. Interesting. I bet the sheriff will love to hear about these traffic calming devices. Now her confidence starts to crack. "There's no need to involve law enforcement. This is a civil matter," she says. I kept filming as I called 911. Before the deputies even showed up, half the neighborhood had come outside, phones out recording. The sheriff rolls up Deputy Martinez and takes one look at the spike strips. "Same kind we use," he says, starts taking photos, questioning Margaret. She tries to spin her usual HOA speech, but Martinez cuts her off. "Ma'am, installing devices meant to damage vehicles is a crime. Doesn't matter if you're the HOA president or the Queen of England, you can't booby-trap someone's property." That's when I remembered the security cameras I'd installed a couple months earlier got the whole stretch of road covered. Margaret suddenly looks pale. I tell the deputy footage covers everything, and sure enough, crystal clear video shows Margaret herself, 2 in the morning, dressed head to toe in black headlights, off planting those spikes, testing them with a stick to make sure they're hidden just right. The deputies arrest her. Right then, criminal mischief, reckless endangerment, trespass, the works. As they're walking her to the patrol car, she's shrieking about her rights, demanding a lawyer, neighbors filming the whole scene. I knew it'd be on Facebook before noon, and it was. The story exploded. Local news picked it up. HOA president arrested for spike strip sabotage. By dinner, I was fielding calls from TV crews and folks I hadn't seen in years. I mostly let my lawyer handle it. The criminal case moved fast. Margaret tried to say she was just protecting the community, but the video made her look like a cartoon villain. The kicker, the HOA cameras she'd installed to monitor my road, turns out they caught her stalking my place too. But the civil case, that's where the real fireworks happened. My lawyer sued Margaret and the HOA, and Discovery turned up receipts showing she'd bought those spike strips with HOA funds, labeled them safety equipment. Meeting minutes showed she'd talked about her plan more than once. Other board members tried to say they thought she was joking, but it didn't look good. The county came down hard since installing hazards on any road, even private, breaks multiple ordinances. The county attorney started digging into the whole HOA board. And then the feds got involved because if an ambulance had needed my road and hit those spikes, well, you can guess. Margaret's lawyer tried for a plea deal, but this thing had gone national. The prosecutor wasn't interested in being nice. At trial, Margaret took the stand, painted herself as a hero, but the prosecutor just played the meeting audio where she called me a stubborn redneck who needs to be taught a lesson. Jury didn't even need 2 hours guilty on every count. The judge, you could see he'd had it with her, slammed down 2 years in county jail, 3 years probation, 50 grand in fines. Margaret's face turned ghost white as the bailiff came over with handcuffs. She's still screaming about property values as they lead her away. Funny thing, afterward, a couple board members tried to apologize, claimed they never really supported her. The new president quietly settled with me out of court, paid for the truck, new tires, and then some. Cedar Grove has a new HOA charter, now stripped down, less power, more oversight. The spike strip story, folks still talk about it, became one of those suburban legends people tell at block parties. But here's the thing, and maybe this is just life in America these days. There's always another Margaret out there, another battle over property lines, noise, or whatever little scrap of control folks can grab. So what do you think? Is the system working? Did justice get served, or is it all just a circus with different clowns every year? Let me know what side you're on, because out here the stories never really end, do they?